Dear friends, citizens of the world, I'm addressing you on the legacy of the unforgettable events and historical factors which led to the culmination of the separate state of Pakistan and the division of the subcontinent. My dear friends, as you all are aware that after the advent of the British, the Muslims and the Hindus, they became subject to the foreign rule. Much before that, the Muslims had ruled the subcontinent for at least 1000 years. After the advent of the British, the Muslims started active militant movements against the British, the Mokla movement, the movement in the UP, movement of Hazrat Bal, movement in Sindh, movement in other provinces. This all culminated in a hatred against the British. On the other hand, the British were very keen in introducing English language, and they gave jobs and services to the Hindi population who were supporting the Britishers. So the Hindu-Muslim divide became a very serious issue. Later on, 1860, there were riots in Benares on the issue of Urdu and Hindi. And then Sir Syed Ahmad Khan started this Aligarh MO College and a university. In the meantime, the movement and the Europe, Dadabhai Naoroji, he started All India Congress Committee, and the Britishers supported the Congress. And Muhammad Ali Jinnah, a young barrister from Zurich, who had gone to study England, he came back to the subcontinent and started practicing in Bombay. And he became the ambassador of the Hindu-Muslim unity. He became the ambassador of Hindu-Muslim unity, and he wanted to work for the freedom of India. And he worked with Annie Besant on the Home Rule League, and Annie Besant also supported him. But unfortunately, when Gandhi came, Gandhi injected Hinduism in the politics of the subcontinent. So Jinnah and Gandhi parted ways, and even Ghulam Gurgadi and other Muslim leaders, they parted ways. In the meantime, the Britishers had defeated the Turks, and in the India, Khilafat movement was rising its head, and Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar, Maulana Shaukat Ali, B. Amma, they were spearheading the movement of Khilafat. They were spearheading the movement of Khilafat. But Congress also supported it, and Mahatma Gandhi, he announced that he would support it. But unfortunately, in Chora Chori, the mob became violent, and Thana was burned, and 24 policemen, they were burnt alive. Using it as a pretext, the Congress withdrew from the movement. And B. Amma and Muhammad Johar, Shaukat Ali and Sheikh Abdul Majid Sindhi were left on their own. So this was a great dent in the Hindu-Muslim unity. Great leaders like Lokmanya Tilak, Parsi leader Feroz Shah Mehta, C.R. Das from Bengal had died, and now Gokhale was no more. And the Hindu leadership was confined to Gandhiji, who was a good man, undoubtedly, a historical personality, but he was more of a Hindu than an Indian citizen. He injected Hinduism in the body politics of India. So ultimately, Muslim League and Congress, which have been having joint sessions, they separated. And then Jinnah gave us 14 points, but those 14 points were not accepted. And then in Sindh, there was a movement for separation of Sindh from Bombay, which was spearheaded by Al-Wahi newspaper, Sheikh Abdul Majid, Abdullah Harun, Hashim Ghazdar, Jafar Khan Jamali, G.M. Said, Pir Ahmed Rashdi, and Pira Bharchundi. But Hindus of Sindh opposed that. So Professor Pamnani was shot at Rodi, and there was riots, and there were riots in Sindh, not on a very big scale, but disunity started. So because of this, Sheikh Abdul Majid Sindhi, he October 38, in a conference, he was MLA, All India Muslim League Working Committee member, he proposed a resolution for the division of India, Muslims and the Hindus, which was passed unanimously. Haji Abdullah Harun, Sir Abdullah Ahmed Badawi, Sir Rauf Shah supported it. But this movement couldn't gain further support because Allah Pak Sumro had become Chief Minister in Sindh and Hidayatullah government had gone. But in 1940, the resolution was passed at Lahore, which was also drafted by Sheikh Majid Sindhi and typed by Rashdi. And in 1943, GM Saab presented the resolution for separation of Sindh from Pakistan, from India, from Sindh Assembly on 3rd March. In the meantime, in 38, at the first elections, the 7 Congress ministries were in 7 provinces, were in 7 provinces, and they had abolished Urdu language, and they had introduced Bande Mataram, and they had stopped services for the Muslims of the subcontinent. So Muslim League and Congress had separated. So the elections of 1946, Muslim League gained a thumping majority all over India, and 19% votes were given to the Muslim League, especially in Bengal. Muslim League got 94%, and in Sindh it got 91%. So Britishers started negotiations with the Muslim leaders, especially Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and Jinnah was adamant that India should be partitioned because Hindus and Muslims couldn't live together. But the Muslim League was following Jinnah Sahab as a sole spokesman, and Cripps mission came to India, that also failed. And later on, when it was being accepted, Nehru said that India will become free, India is free to give its own constitution. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah said the Muslims cannot believe the Hindus, and so they must be separated. In Sindh, the support to Pakistan was because of economic reasons, because Sindhis were peasants and Hindus were land users or they are landholders. They had taken the money, the lands after mortgaging the Muslim property. Same was the case in Bengal. 90% Muslims were peasantry and Hindus were landowners. So there was economic contradiction as well. So the Communist Party International, under guidance of Comrade Stalin, supported the Pakistan movement. And in 1946, Pakistan came with a thumping majority. This state was not founded on hatred against Hindus. Now, Pakistan wanted to have friendship with India, and India should remain as an independent state, and Pakistan both should respect their territorial integrity and support each other. But India didn't recognize Pakistan practically, and the issue of Kashmir became a big stumbling block. And there were 3 wars on Kashmir, and India had turned down its offer of plebiscite. And so India is still adamant on Kashmir. So I believe there should be useful negotiations between India and Pakistan on the water issue. And Ayub Khan, he usurped the water of 3 rivers, he sold it to India, and on the Rind Kutch issue, he took money from the some waters, and Manzoor Kadir and Nana Abdullah Channa was a member from Sindh, he was refused to speak on this issue of Kutch, and only 10% was given to Pakistan, although it was 50% was Pakistan Sindh share. So these were the problems. After advent of Pakistan, Qaeda Muhammad Ali Jinnah became very sick, and in India also Gandhiji was a great leader. He was massacred by Hindu extremists who were from Mahasabha, so they couldn't come to have a friendship with each other. And Jawaharlal Nehru turned back on his pledges and promises. So the fact is this, that the culture of India and Pakistan is similar. We love Lata Mangeshkar, Talat Mahmood, Mirza Ghalib, Mir Taqi Mir, Krishan Chandra, Arunti Rai, all the Indian writers, Hindu or Muslims, who wanted love and peace. In the same way, India cannot throw up Taj Mahal, cannot reject Khwaja Gharib Nawaz, cannot throw up Lal Killa. It's a historic culture of India. So in Pakistan also, we cannot throw up a road, we cannot refuse Muhammad bin Qasim, we cannot reject the Mohan Gado and Harappa. These are historical and cultural entities. They have to be reconciled. But politically, India and Pakistan must not fight with each other. They should not go for war. Already we fought 3 wars, and now there's danger of atomic war. If there's atomic war, whole world will be destroyed. Our future generation will be destroyed. But for that matter, Pakistan needs to have a democratic and sound leadership. Pakistan should not have an apologetic policy with India. Pakistan should take a stand on democratic party, because Qaeda Muhammad Ali Jinnah had brought Pakistan on the basis of Muslim unity and democratic polity. And it was Sindhi leaders like Sheikh Majid, Khodo, Rashdi, GM Saab who had brought Pakistan into existence. And frankly, it was Congress ministry and Balochistan, Kalat had not acceded to Pakistan. Only Nasbela, Makran and Haran had acceded. And Punjab, there was unionist ministry, but later on that was overthrown. And Punjab also acceded to Pakistan. Punjab was divided into two pieces, and Bengal was divided, East Bengal and West Bengal. So it was Bengal and Sindh who brought this country together. Now, I believe that Pakistan and India should have negotiations on the people's level, and that should be open negotiation, not back diplomacy, secret diplomacy like Pervez Musharraf. And Pakistan, it's not, Kashmir issue is not a bilateral issue. Kashmir is a nationality. Kashmiris need to have self-determination, and Kashmir should also be brought in the negotiation as an independent partner. So Pakistan has come to stay, and India has also come to stay. Both these countries can maintain friendship, but on the basis of unity, on the basis of resolving issues on a democratic setup. When Mr. Bhanot had came to Pakistan 20 years before, a Hindu girl, Indian, had gave her life for the passengers, and 50 passengers were killed by Palestinians. I had given a reception to Mr. Bhanot, and then I said before the Indian Consul General that Kashmir issue must be resolved peacefully by talks, not by secret diplomacy, on the basis of right of self-determination of a nation, because Kashmir is an entity, not bilaterally. And the Shimla Agreement has in fact opposed the Kashmir issue. By Shimla Agreement, we made it a bilateral issue, although it's not a bilateral issue. And we changed the ceasefire line into line of control. It's not line of control, it's ceasefire. This issue of Kashmir, the water issue, needs to be resolved. Otherwise, there will be war between India and Pakistan. Indian culture is very rich. I like Talat Mahmood, I like these songs, I like Mir Taqi Mir al-Ghalib, we all like. In the same way, our my Bhagi and our Abda Parveen and Pathane Khan and our Sachad Sarbast, our Shalati Bitai, our Hijweri, our Ghulam Farid Khwaja, they are equally popular in the subcontinent as Khwaja Gharib Nawaz is dear to us. But we must believe that it's a Muslim entity. We cannot leave our religion and our culture just for the sake of unity with India. India is okay, but Pakistan has to maintain balance. Pakistan has to maintain its support, but on the basis of the united struggle of the people of Pakistan. It shall not be only the army, air force and navy which shall fight. It's not the GHQ which will fight. It's the entire nation of Pakistan which will struggle together, hand in hand, as it struggled in 1965 against Indian aggression. So we need to unite, but on the basis of the right of nationalities in Pakistan, because the 1940 resolution envisages the sovereignty of the states, of the independent, and that was a resolution on which Pakistan was formed. So ultimately we need a constitutional guarantee of safeguard in Pakistan for all the people, because it's going to be a welfare state. Now, Huzur Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had maintained a welfare administration in Medina. Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar, Khalifa, Hazrat Usman, Ghani, Ali, they had a welfare. Hazrat Umar said, if a dog dies in Farah, Umar is responsible. So this is the concept of welfare state, and this is the concept of unity. I must tell you, Sindh played a historic role. I got the typewriter on which all these three resolutions passed, but nobody is taking it in the museum. I like to tell you that it was Sindh, separation of Sindh from Bombay, which resulted in the making of Pakistan. And Karachi was given to Center, and Karachi was given to Pakistan. Nizam Hyderabad gave 50 crore. Nawab Bahalpur supported Pakistan. So Pakistan has came into existence with the support of the people under the dynamic leadership of Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, under the dynamic leadership of Sheikh Abdul Majid Sindhi. Allama Iqbal was a poet, but he was not a political leader. He was not the founder of Pakistan. He died in 1938, and in his lectures, sometimes he supports secularism, sometimes he supports Islam, sometimes he supports Chin or Arab Hamara, Hindustan Hamara, sometimes they talk of an no. I don't believe that pan-Islamism is the problem, but I believe that there shall be nationalities and national states. Pan-Islamism is good enough for the unity of the Muslim world, but Sheikh Majid Sindhi tried very hard, but he couldn't succeed because now they are national states. So what I want to say is this, that Pakistan is a reality. It needs to be reared and safeguarded against external aggression, against internal decision, but on the basis of democratic polity, on the basis of unity, on the basis of love and friendship between people of Punjab, Sindh, Sarhad, Saraiki, Kashmiri, and then we need to have full confidence and initiative. We shouldn't depend on China, America, India become a pagan bowl. We should garnish and canalize our energies, and we should see to it. We shouldn't speak lies. We shouldn't compromise. We shouldn't work for power. Here, every politician is working for power. Every bureaucrat is working for money. We should decide that we should make Pakistan a real paradise on earth, and also create friendship with the Indian people. Arundhati Roy is fighting against Hindu Tawa. Hindu Tawa is a great danger to the subcontinent. Hindu Tawa has to be contained. But in our flag, there's a strip of white for the minorities. We respect the Hindus and the Christians and the Parsis and the Jains and Buddhists. And Sindh was a Buddhist state before Muhammad Qasim. Sindh came to Islam. We are not Hindus, we are Buddhists. In fact, Raja Dayal's father, Chach, he was a usurper from Kashmir. He was a Brahmin. He has exposed the Channas and the Samaj and other Sindhis as a slaves. So Sindh has made Pakistan, and Sindh and Punjab and Sarhad and Saraiki Desh and Kashmir will defend, and we should have negotiations with Indo-Pak on the basis of love and unity and a proper leadership, and on the human level, not on the political gimmickry and political hard-knocks. No. Let us have an open political process. When you say it's a state of Medina, but you don't believe in it. In Medina, everything was open. Khalifa Umar was sleeping on the bed. He was talking with the ambassadors. He was not enjoying life, not having a luxurious life. Here there is corruption from top to bottom. So that has to be stopped. And Pakistan and India should open dialogues, and people should be allowed writers and poets from India to Pakistan from here. Now there is Urdu conference in Karachi going on. I say to the writers of Urdu conference, at least speak for Urdu language. Now in India, every Urdu film is written in Hindi. Every Indian song, Urdu song is written in Hindi. Why so? There should be pluralism in India and Pakistan. If there is Urdu should be accepted. Hindi should be accepted. In Pakistan, there are Sindhi, Balochi, Pashto, Kashmiri, Saraiki, they all should be accepted. It's a pluralist society. You cannot, make the people slaves. You have to have equal partners. So this is I wanted to say. Some days before also I had given a written interview, but that interview has been lost. I want to share it to the whole world, and I welcome the participatories of the Urdu International Conference in Karachi. I welcome them. I say that Urdu is a link language. It's not the national language of Pakistan. The official language is English, because Sindhi, Balochi, Pashto, Kashmiri and Saraiki, they are the national languages. Urdu is a link language. We love Urdu and the Urdu culture. Ganga Jamni culture is very rich. Muhammad Ali Jinnah studied in Christian mission school at Karachi, at Sindh Madrasa, Anjuman Islamia in Bombay. He was a middle class man, but he was intellectual, a great statesman who defeated Crips, and he was a statesman of the level of Gladstone. Gandhi was no match to him. Gandhi was a great man, but Gandhi also betrayed on the Kashmir issue. All the Indian leaders, we need to create our friendship in India with Arundhati Roy and support Arundhati Roy, because she is a great leader. She is opposing Hindu Tawa. She has supported the Kashmiris. In her book which I read, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, she has supported. And I too have been working with Maqbool Bhatt in the initial stages, and I believe that India and Pakistan should not interfere in each other's affairs. They should also recognize the territorial integrity of their states. So once again, I appeal to the writers, poets and the intellectual people of both countries to create conditions of normalcy and peace, mutual peace. Hindus should shun out from the Hindu Tawa and recognize the Muslims and the untouchables, because Dr. Ambedkar had supported Pakistan, because 15 crore untouchable Dalit were exposed in India as a slaves, as a Bangis, as a low caste. So, but Gandhi gave a Maran birth that the Dalits are Hindus, and Ambedkar became a Buddhist later on. So Hasrat Mohani couldn't come to Pakistan, Nawab Ismail Khan couldn't come to Pakistan, but many people who came here, some of them were very great leaders, some were unscrupulous, but now they have come to Pakistan, they are part of our society. We need to unite our people on the basis of our intellectual thought, not divide them, bring them together. At least we can solve our problems in our country also through constitutional process, through dialogues which are with Balochistan, Sindh, Punjab, Kashmir. We can talk. We need not follow unscrupulous parties who are trying to exploit the people, but we need an intellectual forum through which we can develop this. So I am very much thankful to all of you who have been listening with patience with my issues. I am an ordinary person, a writer and a poet. I have nothing to stake in Pakistan. I have got the typewriter on the resolution passed. I want the Supreme Court to take notice and take those typewriter in the museum. What will I do with the typewriter? And what will I am the youngest inaugurator passed in 19. I don't need any presidential award or anything. I just need honesty, truthfulness, decency, discipline, and friendship and brotherhood in my country, all over the world. And Allah is Allah, the Muslims as well as the non-Muslims. And our Prophet is the Rahmatul Alameen. So let us create a world society. Because somebody was telling me, are you from Pakistan? I said, yes, but I'm a world citizen like Socrates. I'm a follower of Socrates, Imam Hussain, Mansur Halad, Imam Shamil. They are my idols. So these idols are also the followers of the Prophet of Islam. And so a few days before, some very unfortunate incident happened in Sialkot. I'm sorry for that. And I believe that we should not create a situation where Pakistan should become a laughing stock in the world. But we should love our Prophet of Islam, Rahmatul Alameen, and create the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam and follow the Khilafat al-Rashida and they follow the traditions of Imam Hussain al-Islam, Hazrat Ali. In this lies our success, and this is the legacy of the evolution of Pakistan and those unforgettable characters who fought for Pakistan, like Beer Barchundi, like Amin Khoso, like J.M. Sayyid, like Sheikh Nadeem Shahid. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you all. God bless you all. Be happy and be nice. Thank you all.